Alright, get ready for some absolutely cool magic here. We are back once again with the Eldraine, Wilds of Eldraine new cards, and we have a really cool deck here. The card Beseech the Mirror is generating a lot of buzz right now because it is a really potentially powerful card. Now, a lot of the times when people are talking about this, they're talking about it in the context of older Eternal formats like Legacy. But I still think that a lot of the things that people are saying are going to line up for Historic as well. So, Beseech the Mirror, 4 mana for a sorcery, and it has Bargain. And you are allowed to search your library for a card, exile it face down, then shuffle. If this spell was bargained, then you get to cast it for free. Otherwise, it's just a tutor and goes into your hand. Of course, bargain being you may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast this spell. So we'll need to basically have things on the battlefield in order to bargain, and then this will become a really powerful effect for us. And it's 4 or less, so we can hit a lot of things in our deck. Generally, what this thing is allowing us to do is to play a large variety of threats in our deck at the minimal cost of having multiple copies of those things. So, your Karn the Great Creators, your Shield Druids, which are great to have on the battlefield, but if you're drawing your second or third one late down the line, then you feel pretty bad about that. So this is a way to make it so that you don't draw your Shield Druids in the early game in favor of all the other things that you're going to be playing 4 of. And then eventually, when you need to get that thing, you essentially are playing 5 to 6 copies of it through Beseech the Mirror, which is really cool. So some payoffs that we're doing include Karn. Karn can go find a bunch of things out of the sideboard. One interesting piece of tech is he can find his own artifact for you to sacrifice in Ornithopter, in case you want to go ahead and Beseech again if Karn is like not being threatened on the battlefield. The next thing that we can do is just go ahead and get Phyrexian Obliterator. This one's just kind of a common one in mono black strategies. Whenever a source deals damage to it, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. It's a good card. Beseech the Mirror is just searching for a card, so we can even find instants and sorceries. One of the ones that we'll be potentially looking for is The End. This is one of the new cards from the set as well, and if you have 5 or less life, this will cost you 2 less to cast it. Pretty interesting spell here. So we'll generally be casting it for 4, but basically we get to exile a creature or planeswalker, so this is on par with Vraska's Contempt. But the additional thing that we get to do here is search their graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name and exile them. So it is not only a way to get things out of your opponent's hand, but you also get vision into your opponent's deck and things like this. Plus, it's just a removal spell for an annoying creature that may be on board. So a pretty cool card to go find with Beseech the Mirror. We may or may not see that here in the deck, in the games that we play. Of course, this wouldn't be mono black without Shieldred. Shieldred is just a great card. And she'll be comboing pretty well with the One Ring that we can pull out of the sideboard with Karn. Another interesting one is Liliana, Waker of the Dead. She's a little bit of a grindy finisher. Once you have your walls up, you can just get her out and then hit your opponent's hand and potentially hit them for life once they're hellbent. She's also a removal spell in the sense that she will stay on the battlefield after the creature is dealt with. So if your opponent just has one thing, Liliana can come down, clear the board essentially, and then represent a threat that your opponent has to actively deal with. Another really cool one, since we're playing this Beseech the Mirror strategy, is we can go into one of things like Leyline of the Void for Graveyard Hate. So Leyline of the Void, really not that popular in Historic, but extremely popular in other formats. A lot of best of 3 decks will be running 4 of Leyline of the Void to try to just hose their combo player or reanimator matchups. So basically, for 4 mana, you get this enchantment that says if cards go into a graveyard from anywhere, you exile them instead. But it's also a leyline, so if you draw it in your opening hand, you just get it on the battlefield for free. For us, though, if we get to a point where we have Beseech the Mirror and our opponent is on some reanimation strategy, well, we can just go ahead and Leyline of the Void them. The one thing is that if we're at a point of the game where their payoffs are in the graveyard already, this is not actually a lock here. We'll have to use something like Karn to find Tormod's Crypt to actively exile the graveyard. But, you know, Leyline of the Void saves us from anything further happening. And then the other things that we have are Liliana of the Veil. She's just a great card for making our opponent discard and sacrifice. But generally what happens with a Liliana is either she gets beaten down in the early game, or you never really get, or you draw multiple of her down the line when you already have one on the battlefield. So we kind of just want to play Liliana when she's at her best, which is when you have creatures down and she can just sit behind them while edicting your opponent and making the symmetric discard happen. So I think she's pretty good as a 1 to 2 of here. I've chosen to do 1 of in favor of playing some other things. I'm running 1 Gix Yawgmoth Praetor. You know, decent card. Potentially gives us some card advantage and allows us to cast things off of the top of our opponent's library once we get enough mana, which, because we're a Nykthos deck and, you know, mono black playing Phyrexian Obliterator, we are likely to eventually be able to do that. We also have Graveyard Trespasser as, you know, 1 more layer of Graveyard Hate. This one's a bit more prevalent in the deck, and it also gives us a little bit of life back, which is occasionally useful. The 4 Bowmasters in this deck are extremely, extremely good. Not only because Orcish Bowmasters is a great card, but also because Beseech the Mirror requires you to sacrifice a artifact, enchantment, or token. So you can sacrifice the Orcish Bowmasters token as the additional cost for Beseech, which is cool. Of course, you know, Karn can get a bunch of artifacts in of itself, and we'll even have things like these 2 Gixen Recyclers that can be sacrificed towards that effect. And of course, Gixen Recycler, just kind of a decent card because it, you know, fills your graveyard. You'll always have something to cast, even if you're kind of hellbent. So, good card. We also have Go for the Throat and Cut Down to deal with our opponent's threats, and Thoughtseize to become a little bit more preemptive in terms of dealing with their things. And then finally we run 3 Knight of the Ebon Legions so that we can have a 1-drop that can, you know, have mana be dumped into it. Other than this, I guess if we look at the sideboard, we have the 1 of Ornithopter for Karn to find if we need to beseech the mirror target. Tormod's Crypt is active Graveyard Hate. Pithing Needle helps us with Planeswalkers, and, you know, potentially some strategies that are going to be activating activated abilities. Liquid Metal Coating for that Karn lock that we all know and love. Cosmos Elixir to allow us to present a long game. 1 ring to keep us alive and draw. And finally, a Portal to Phyrexia in case we get up into the mana and decide that we want to have some big thing that is going to punch through and win the game for us. We have 4 Nykthoses in order to make mana for us. We have a Takenuma to get something back. And we have a Locthwain to draw. And finally, a Hive of the Eye Tyrant as well. So we have a lot of ways to make creatures. We have a lot of ways to find the big payoffs here now that we have Beseech the Mirror. And all in all, this is going to be a really fun deck. I've played a few games with it already, and I just decided that I had to come and record like right away because this was so much fun. And I think that you guys are going to enjoy this deck today. If you're liking all of this content that I've been putting out for the new Wilds of Eldraine set, you can show your support by subscribing if you're new here, or if you're already a subscriber, you can drop a like on the video or make a comment. Let me know how you're enjoying the new set. Let me know what you thought about this deck if you played it, and I will go ahead and shut up here so we can go and play some games. Let's hop into round 1 right now. All right, here we go. This is our round 1. We actually found both of our Shieldreds in the opener. That's kind of funny. I'm thinking about it. I think this is probably a mulligan. More so because of the lands, honestly. This one's a lot better. I think we discard the Shieldred because we can find it later. And then we just have Thoughtseize, Bowmaster's Thoughtseize. Yeah, this feels good. Okay, so it's a Llanowar Elf. We'll definitely want to clip whatever they're planning to do here. I'm debating... Well, we'll see what the Thoughtseize hits, but I'll probably want to use the Bowmasters to take out the Elf and maybe stop their ramp a bit. Okay, so this is some sort of like mid-range kind of thing. We have Primal Might, Vivian, and Collected Company. I think we'll start taking the companies now, or I could potentially take a land, which is actually very strong. This can get them stuck on 2 lands, potentially, if we deal with the Llanowar Elf next turn. So they do have Primal Might. That means that I can't deploy my Bowmasters, sadly. So it looks like I could just go for the Throat or Thoughtseize. Well, they have that collected company. I think I'll just take out the Llanowar Elf now. Should make this Thoughtseize a bit better since we'll be able to see one more card out of their hand. And then I also get to have Bowmasters out as well. We'll drop in the locked lane now. We will go in with the Thoughtseize. Our opponent is on 3 lands, which means that either Collected Company or Questing Beast comes down next. I think Collected Company represents a bit more out of their deck, but like, what do they play? I haven't really seen a payoff for this Collected Company yet. It might just be a bunch of good green creatures. In which case, it'll only take me 1 spell to deal with the Questing Beast, potentially, versus multiple to deal with the... Or, sorry, it'll take multiple spells to deal with Collected Company versus 1 to deal with Questing Beast. Alright, so we will see if they draw that land. It is a Scooze, okay. I suppose I'll just hold this Bowmasters then, or should I go ahead and play it? I don't really know. Primal Might is kind of annoying, so we want to keep Bowmasters out of the way. Our opponent can just whiff on some lands here. I think that'll bode really well for me. So we get to go to our turn here, not using Orcish Bowmasters yet. We do get a Nick though, so that's eventually going to be nice. I will play that as my land and get a Graveyard Trespasser out. We can take out... I don't really know what we want to get rid of here. Maybe let's just take the Creature land. And now their Primal Might is not super amazing. Okay, so they'll Scooze away their Xandu Mammoth, that's fine. The Scooze will be annoying, and they do actually have Questing Beast now, which is a problem. We'll have to get hit by the Questing Beast once. And then we can ambush it with a Bowmaster's Ping to trade with Trespasser. And we actually just draw Go for the Throat here, which is good. I will play this as a land. And I will probably just hold up mana here, I think. I'll pass. No need to attack here. We'll just try to get some trades here. Graveyard Glutton now can trade with the Questing Beast, which is ideal. I will probably just try to deny their draw here, I think. But honestly, Scavenging Ooze is going to be kind of a problem. Looks like they're on Primal Might my Glutton. Okay, so they'll have to discard their Vivian for this. I will be able to keep this if I just kill the Questing Beast, so that seems pretty solid. Alright, awesome. So they still have to pay the ward. Well, actually they can... Yeah, that's smart. I should have waited until they resolve the ward. Now they still have a Vivian, which might be a pain in my backside. I think Bowmasters is better as a surprise, more so than anything else. And we actually have Beseech the Mirror here, which is great. So what do I want to do here? I can Beseech the Mirror. Oh, but I don't have anything to get rid of for it. So I have to wait a turn, play Bowmasters, and then I'll Beseech, sacking my token to go ahead and find maybe a Liliana, most likely. We have 4 cards in Graveyard, which means we can probably kill most of these. The other issue is that Scavenging Ooze can start to eat me. We'll go ahead and pass here. It's notable that the backside of Graveyard Glutton does not have a pip on it, so Nykthos is at 0 right now. Alright, here comes Vivian. She's going to make a 3-3. That's going to start to be really annoying. Luckily the Glutton can eat that. We will go ahead and Orcish Bowmasters here. And now I'm not sure if I pick up a Liliana, because they just have a creature to sack. I'll start to ping Vivian, I think. And we'll move to our turn. Get a land, play a Beseech the Mirror, we'll play it with bargain and sack our token. And what will we find here? I can get a Liliana. That's okay. This does allow me to kill potentially Scavenging Ooze. With 4 cards, Scavenging Ooze can actually survive if they use the mana, but they don't have a mana, so there's a potential that this is a good idea to kill Scavenging Ooze now. I think that I'd rather just kind of chill behind like a Shieldred or something. Vivien is not able to do anything other than get a bunch of creatures. So there's a chance that it is a good play to just get a Shieldred. The End can deal with Vivien altogether, I suppose, and Karn could just find something good. I have 3/6 mana right now. I'm 3 away from Portal to Phyrexia. So maybe I just deal with Liliana or Vivien right away. No, I'll just get a Shieldred. I think that's a safe move. We'll cast Shieldred. And now we have a Shieldred. So we will say no to attacks, and we will just sit here and try to drain our opponent out. So Vivien will tick up. Making a 3/3 every turn is just kind of gnarly. That's eventually going to be too hard to deal with. Nykthos makes 4 mana here, so we actually have access to 4, 5, 6, 7. We're getting pretty close to being able to just cast a portal. So this seems like bait. We will block with these 2 creatures, and then I guess they might Primal Might or something. I don't think Orcish Bowmasters is going to trigger that much unless they go for a Werewolf Pack Leader play. I think I'll take 3. They could buff this thing up to 7. Let's see if that's what's happening. I assume this is Primal Might. If they dump all their mana into it, it's okay. Oh, it's just a Scavenging Ooze play. Gotcha. So it looks like they'll take out a little bit of both our graveyards. I go to 6. Okay. So we go back up to 8. I will probably go ahead and just play Bowmasters, maybe. If I play Bowmasters, this means that my Castle Locthwain only hits me for 1, which is kind of getting relevant. Well, I'll gain 1 because of Shieldred anyway, so maybe I'll just kind of just do it like this. Okay, so we draw. We go neutral. We can just play an extra Nykthos, I suppose. But we don't really need the mana, so it's fine. We'll pass. I'll have to keep this Orcish Bowmaster token around for Beseech the Mirror. But things are getting a little tough now. Let's see what happens. Great Henge, that's a problem. Now our opponent is pretty much neutral with Shieldred. Alright, so we get 1 draw out of here. We will be able to kill a 2/2. I guess I just kill... Should I kill Vivien or get close to killing Vivien, or should I kill the Elvish Mystic? I think they're going to have the mana they're going to have. I'll start to deal some damage to Vivien. Okay, Vivien pluses. That was kind of expected. So Scavenging Ooze is probably the one issue right now. We'll block it with the token before we play our other token. Okay, so we'll draw a card here. I'm kind of forced to do my Bowmasters now. Okay, so they will draw a card. So I essentially have 2 Bowmaster triggers here. I can almost kill Vivien. I should be able to trade for Pack Leader. And I should be able to trade for Ooze. Let's see how much their Ooze can eat this turn, just once. And it actually won't get bigger than a 5/5. So I'll get a Bowmasters into the fray here. We'll kill an Ooze. We will kill a ooze. I actually did that one too many times. Okay, so we can eat the leader, eat one of these, and then I think actually I'd rather make a trade for the ooze, and then we'll have Shieldred here. This maintains more of my creatures, or more of the creatures that are contributing to my Mythos count. Okay, so that felt like a pretty tough attack for my opponent. It's another Scavenging Ooze. Sure. We get to deal 2 to this. They only have 1 more mana, so it's unlikely they're going to play anything. So I'll just take out... I'll get Vivian a bit weakened. Shieldred will do the damage to the opponent. I just need to make sure that Vivian can't -2 that much. Okay. That's kind of an issue. We'll make a bunch of mana with Nykthos. We'll activate Eldraine. Should have done that after dropping my Nykthos out. Alright. We will Thoughtseize our opponent going to 4. They'll have 4 attackers next turn. We can chump block if it comes down to it. I need to make sure that they don't have anything good in their hand. Looks like they have... No. Defiler of Vigor. That's a problem, and then Vivian number 2 is not really an issue. Let's play the land and pass the turn. We're kind of holding on here, but we need to find a way to kill our opponent. The big mana side of the equation is here. I think if we can find a Phyrexian Obliterator, we feel really happy. Because they just want to go big, and that sitting in the way will ruin their day.
To any threat.
They go in. I know that they have a Vivian, and they maybe have something else. Scavenging Ooze gets how big? 1, 2, 3. Can become a 6/6, so that means that I just need to kind of just block. Block here, we block here, we block here. I'll take 3. I don't think I want to do that, so I will chump block with Bowmasters. Alright, we stay at 4 life. If they attempt to draw, we'll kill Scavenging Ooze. We'll just end up taking as much as they can out of the graveyard. That is fine. So we need to find a way to deal with the Scavenging Ooze. That's more or less the issue. We can chump block that thing for a long time. I'm not super worried about it. Sandu Mammoth coming in. Alright. So, fortunately now we just have the 1 draw. We'll use it to ping Vivian, I think. Alright. Well, we're continually getting our draws out of this. Or we're continually getting our creatures out of Archish Bowmasters. A Beseech the Mirror feels really good here if we draw it. Wow, a lot of Nykthoses. So let's make some mana. Legend Rule our land and cast, or get a draw for Eldraine. This will go neutral for us. And alright, that's a Beseech the Mirror. I think we can go get Karn. 4, 5, 6, 7. So basically with our second Nykthos, we can go Beseech with Bargain. Get Karn. Find Karn. Cast Karn. Their Great Henge can't be activated anymore. We get to reveal something from outside the game. We will get a Portal to Phyrexia. And if we can survive this next turn with some trump blocks, then we should be looking good. We don't attack here, and we just block. Let's see how scary our opponent can make this turn. If they can remove a creature, we're dead. If they can grow a creature significantly, we're dead. Okay. What can they find? They find Augur of Autumn. Do they have a important creature to find here? So it's a werewolf pack leader. That's interesting. So I gotta start thinking about these blocks. They're gonna attack with the ooze. It's gonna be huge. I think that's probably just a chump block with Orcish Bowmasters. The Kazandu Mammoth and the Elks can attack. We want to make sure that we can trade well for those. Shieldred eats the Mammoth. Graveyard Trespasser eats the Beast. But we want to make sure that our Bowmaster's token can start to deal with one of these Elks. Or the Beasts. Okay, we draw a card. We ping this one again. And opponent's down to 12. Things are looking kind of decent. Well, let's see how this attack goes. So they go all in. We are going to block as we talked about, with the exception of Kazandu Mammoth. Will have to be a chump now. And we block like this. We'll survive a turn. Opponent's got 3 creatures. Unless they cast a bunch here, they will have not many after this. Now the problem is we might not be able to cast our portal. Karn can go ahead and activate on something. Fortunately, we don't have anything really useful here. The other thing that we can take is the One Ring. The One Ring does help us out a lot. So I will... One Ring. We'll gain protection from everything. We can go into our opponent. And we will try to draw effectively out with the One Ring. Okay, so we will take out the Werewolf Pack Leader, and we will draw a card to make ourselves gain some life. Find a Bowmasters, which is huge. That blocks really effectively for us. This is fine. We get to double trade out of the Shieldred. The one issue is that now we have to play our other Shieldred, so we're going to have to Legend Rule our Nykthos. Boop. Alright, and so we got Shieldred. We will have a One Ring activation next turn. And our opponent's going to kill Karn this turn. If they do, we get to kill one of their creatures, which is ideal. Opponent goes to 8. It's starting to get close for them. Even drawing a land here doesn't get us to play Portal of Phyrexia. That's kind of a bummer. They go all in. We'll eat the Augur of Autumn. Opponent may not realize that we have protection here. Alright, they're going to eat my graveyard and theirs. It's fine because we can't really cast this portal anyway. Alright, they're eating my graveyard. We still have a bunch of spells in there at the very least, and I think it's 1 Graveyard Trespasser. Not really a huge deal for us. We will survive here. Okay. We will adapt it. Surprising they take Vigilance here on these things. I think they can also get Trample, right? That does go over my Bowmasters. Opponent is at 10. We'll need to utilize our Bowmasters here. Alright, we draw a land. We will draw once more with the One Ring. It may have been good to, it might have been good to just animate our, animate it with Karn. Whatever, it'll come in tapped. And so now we have Liliana plus Orcish Bowmasters, I guess. And we have 9 cards in grave. They are able to exile 2 of them, so I will only be able to kill the Werewolf Pack Leader. Potentially Kazandu Mammoth. For 4 mana, they can activate Werewolf Pack Leader. I don't think that really is a reason that I should let it stay alive. I'm deciding between Kazandu Mammoth and Pack Leader. I can kill the Pack Leader or trade for it effectively, but I can't really trade effectively with the Kazandu Mammoth. So I'll have to play Liliana here. This is kind of awkward though. Yeah, we'll play Liliana here. It's going to be Lily minus on the Kazandu Mammoth.
Address me as queen.
And I will... Oh, you know what? I could have attempted to try to kill the Kazandu, or the Scavenging Ooze. I didn't realize that my Karn was turning off their Great Henge. Oh no. Okay. Well, we'll pass here, and we'll decide on if we need to use Orcish Bowmasters to trump block or not. I think the answer is that we do need to. Nykthos makes 4 mana now, so if I do my math right, we do have Portal next turn, assuming we maintain Shieldred and Liliana. I almost certainly have to chump for Scavenging Ooze, though, which is a problem. We'll eventually drain our opponent out with Shieldred, though. They need to kill Karn if they want to start gaining life off of the Great Henge. There is 2 creatures. They can gain 2 life. Alright, so what comes in? Everything goes in. We will block and eat things to the best of our ability. Scavenging Ooze goes at Karn. I would like to keep Karn alive. We're sending 2 things at Karn. Alright, so we will Bowmasters here. We have 2 triggers on Bowmasters. We can kill the elves. And this looks good for us. Bowmaster. That face. We'll resolve the draw. Alright, opponent goes to 4 now. I guess I could have put them to 2, but it looks like we have them there. That was a long and drawn out game, but we were able to make it through. Shouts out to Shieldred One Ring combo. That was great. Karn did an amazing job of stopping the Great Henge, and even though we didn't get to cast it, we had Portal to Phyrexia eventually. I think we would have had it next turn with the Orc Army blocking Scavenging Ooze, and I could have just taken, I think, the rest of the damage. Then with 5 mana plus another 5, I have 10 to cast Portal. And yeah, I could even have blocked on this turn, leaving my opponent with 5 creatures. Portal brings them down to 1, and then I just start to gain advantage from there. So cool, really good game right there. We really slowed it down, and we really executed a control game plan with Mono Black. Pretty cool game here. We got to see Beseech the Mirror, wherever it is. There it is. We got to see that find a couple of things this game. Pretty sweet. Alright, with that being said, let's hop into round 2 and see if we can do it again. Okay, here we go. This is our round 2. We have a potential Liliana play on turn 3. Beseech is great, but the only issue is we don't have anything to bargain for it. I'm sure that eventually we'll draw something, so maybe we'll start off on this turn 1 Thoughtseize. Opponent on some... I guess this is just Mardu. Porky Parrot, that is an interesting card, and otherwise it's a bunch of little things. I guess Call of the Death Dweller eventually is a problem for me, so I'm going to take that now. Looks like we'll have to deal with some creatures here. We'll want to just trade 1 for 1 for all of these things. Here's a knight. I will make that trade 100% of the time. Alright. We do not negotiate with terrorists here. And if they play something, we get to the Liliana Edict it next turn. What's the play? They can just get 2 creatures out here, which is kind of unideal for me. If this is just Death Touch Tribal, I'm surprised they're not playing like a Finn Infect game plan. So we will see. They're giving it some thought. It is just 2 Foulmire Knights, I believe. Okay. Well, I suppose we'll just get our own Foulmire, or our own Gix out. And now these Beseech the Mirrors are potentially a good thing. Porky Parrot comes out. We have 3/4. Unfortunately, Gix does not have. Oh right, yeah, Porky Parrot plus Foulmire Knight. That's kind of a cool little synergy there. We will start, I guess, by on our next step, Orcish Bowmastering, and then we'll try to set up to Liliana Edict their remaining creature. We'll wait for them to do any sort of activated ability on this thing. Nezumi Prowler comes in. This is a 3/1. That is okay. Alright, so we will activate our Bowmasters now, even though the Porky Parrot will kill it. We do get to kill this, and we will have something up for Beseech the Mirror if that is what we draw next turn. If we draw land, that is. Alright. Porky Parrot kills Bowmasters, I guess. No matter. They do play another creature, that's unfortunate. We can cut down the Foulmire Knight, but I'll need to wait till next turn to do it. I can yank their last card, potentially. But they'll just kill my Orc army, honestly. Yeah, maybe I just kind of chill here. Porky Parrot going at Liliana if I were to Edict, killing their Foulmire Knight. Wouldn't be terrible, but it would hinge on me drawing another land to Beseech. So I think I pass. I'm going to pass, do the same kind of play that I did last turn, which is try to kill Foulmire Knight and then set up a Liliana Edict on Porky Parrot. Take our damage here, and they actually just pass. We're going to kill Foulmire Knight. What is this final card in their hand? Okay, we just draw Karn, so that's fine. We will Edict. Killing Porky Parrot. And that is enough to win. Alright, we dealt with enough of our opponent's resources, and they felt like they could not continue. We'll take that. Always about resource denial in these mono black decks. And yeah, you know, a couple cut downs, Orcish Bowmasters at the right time. Good trade with the Knight of the Ebon Legion, and a good take on the Thoughtseize. Got us the win. Okay, quick round 2. Let's hop into round 3. Here we go. Okay, here we go. This is our round 3. We get to start with a Thoughtseize Knight of the Ebon Legion, and we get to utilize this Gixin Recycler. It's an okay hand, but we don't really have a lot of what this deck is trying to do. Plus, our opponent is on the play. So mulligan this one, try to find something a bit more reactive, and we do find something. Double cut down into a potential Liliana feels pretty good. And then we're just waiting to do something with a Beseech the Mirror. We'll chill with Shambling Gas. That thing dealing a damage a turn is not bad. Plus, they're probably going to spend some resources to sacrifice it. Killing Big Spender seems like a good move. Thank you for... Excuse me? Well, I would have loved to kill that. We will wait until my opponent's turn. Phyrexian Tower coming in here, sure. We'll sack the Shambling Ghast, okay, sure. Make a treasure, okay. And once they move to combat, then I will do something. They can cast a 5-drop here, which will line up very well here. I'm going to kill up Big Spender and then Liliana Edict Witch King. Sweet. Here's a land, here's a Liliana. That thing can gain indestructible, but we will make them sack.
Distractions. Let's make this quick.
Okay, so now we're sitting on cut down plus beseech the mirror. We can just honestly search for something good here. Let's see what it is. Edict takes out Liliana, but she's done her job already. Priest of Forgotten Gods, okay. Orcish Bowmasters is a good thing to play. So maybe I'll do cut down plus Bowmasters, then next turn I can beseech. Yeah, feels good. We'll play one spell. So here's what we can do. We can attempt to cut down. They might activate Aristocrat. Then we respond with Orcish Bowmasters. Lovely. Here's Bowmasters. Pinging Aristocrat before it can become indestructible. Looks like they can activate it, sacking itself. Sure, this actually does get rid of my token, which is annoying. That does delay our Beseech the Mirror by a turn, so good play by my opponent. And now that my opponent has just one card in hand, I think it is time to play a bit of a slower game here with a Shieldred. Alright, so we have a Shieldred coming down next turn. It's on our opponent to dig out. Claim. So we get back a Shambling Ghast. Okay, this can ramp with Phyrexian Tower. Looks like they will do this. And will this be a creature? No, just 4 mana for Mount Doom activations. Got it. Well, here comes a Shieldred, and we've held up Go for the Throat for whatever they play. Or whatever they can reanimate. Alright, so if it's just Mount Doom activations, I can deal with that just fine. We'll swing in with Shieldred. We actually get a Karn too. This does allow me to Karn Liquid Metal Coating. And that is just a generally strong thing we can be doing here. We'll wait till their upkeep and try to take out... They have 3 red sources, so it's kind of whatever. Oops, no. We want to wait till their turn. One turn, then in their turn, Liquid Coating their Mount Doom. They'll have to decide if they want to play it this turn or activate it right now. Otherwise, they'll only have 4 mana. Okay, cool. So that is something. Opponent goes to 6. They have to make a big play here or they're dead. They pass. And we've got him. Okay, so this is actually a rare occurrence of not being able to cast Beseech the Mirror with Bargain. And I think that, you know, we were still able to do it regardless. Beseech the Mirror, 1 turn behind. You can definitely tell how it's not as strong when you're, you know, telegraphing that a Shieldred is coming down next turn. Luckily, we had the Karn draw afterwards to kind of shut down the Mount Doom thing, which is probably our opponent's only way out. Not that it was very much of a way out to begin with. Okay, so that was our round 3 out of the way. Let's just move on to round 4, see what we can do with the Beseech the Mirror Mono Black control. Here we go. Okay, here goes round 4. Well, we have a Leyline of the Void and double Orcish Bowmasters, and we'll be able to play a Shieldred presumably sometime in the future. I think this is great. We'll start with a Leyline of the Void on the battlefield. And here's an Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Let's see what our opponent's doing. Hopefully they're on some sort of graveyard-based strategy. Looks like that is unfortunately not going to be the case, and we will have to utilize our Orcish Bowmasters here to take out the Soul Warden. If we can deal with all the Soul Sisters, this is probably going to be a pretty smooth game, but let's see what happens. Leyline and Void, a notable non-bow with our Liliana number 2. Alright, so we've taken out a Soul Warden. They are left with a Lunarch Veteran, that is, rather. And we have basically a Beseech the Mirror next turn. I'm going to avoid playing my Bowmasters right now, because I would like to make sure that I can force another Bowmaster token down the line if I draw another Beseech. Knowing that I have a Shieldred, what do I want to get? I have nothing that deals with life gain inherently. But there is probably something that I can get. Daxos, not a huge card to maybe the end, but I'll move to my turn here. We get to go ahead and beseech, cast with Bargain, sacking this. And let's figure out what we want here. I think that probably a Phyrexian Obliterator is a good move. I can get a Liliana to hit the hand, but I think nothing is better than just going in with the Obliterator. They'll have to create a creature to block it, and then when they do, they will need to sack their board. Okay, so we can even just drop a Shieldred next turn, and we'll be looking pretty good. Let's see what happens. What can our opponent play? Ooh, it is Go for the Throat on Phyrexian Obliterator. That is a good piece of tech right there. Wonder what our opponent is playing in terms of black, and we're answered immediately with Vampire the Dire Moon. Death Touchers are neither here nor there. I am not super worried about that. We will not block this 2 mana, or this 2 attack. And now we're left with a decision here. Do we Bowmasters kill Vampire, Go for the Throat Daxos, attack with Lunarch Veteran? We'll swing in first, see how they block. Yeah, that makes sense. We can wait until our end step, or our opponent's end step, to do all these things, and then on our turn play another Beseech. Possibly getting our other... Okay, that's another thing that could happen. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. We will want to eventually exile Heliod. This creature gains lifelink. How about it's dead? Okay. I assume they attack with Vampire the Dire Moon here. Here's Bowmasters. We will make a non-standard play of blocking with the Bowmasters itself, since I don't think my opponent is going to be doing anything interesting with it. And we want to use Beseech for our turn. Swing in. Cast a Beseech with Bargain. We'll take this, and we are going to try once again to get our Phyrexian Obliterator out onto the battlefield. Okay. And actually, yeah, Leyline of the Void, not a non-bow with our own Liliana, because it only affects our opponents. We love a good one-sided effect. Alright, Heliod gets a counter. We're going to have to hope that he does not get too big. We have more Go for the Throats in the library, so they can be found in case Heliod does animate. But our opponent sees only one card in hand, so I'm thinking that we are pretty solid here. Here's a Shieldred. They could activate Heliod if they want, but it's not going to matter. We go in for 6. And alright, that was enough. We deployed to the threats to the board, and our opponent knows what's up. So let's see, why did that feel good? I mean, definitely Orcish Bowmasters lined up super well there against the life gain deck. They were running something weird with some Black Splash for Vampire and Go for the Throat. I think this is kind of just, you know, something random we're seeing on the ladder rather than anything that is trying to be meta. But you know what? Neither is our deck, so we will take a win where we can. Pretty strong showing with Mono Black. That was our round 4, and we have one more round coming up. Let's hop into round 5. Here we go. Okay, here we go. This is our round 5, final round coming up. We have a lot of lands for once, but our curve is 1, 2, 3, and we are on the draw, so I think that I'm happy about this hand. Play Thoughtseize here, and we want to take our opponent off of whatever they want to do early. So this is an interesting deck. Bunch of 1-rings. Clothis. They only have one creature, pretty much. I think that Goblin and Archmancer is a good move. And we have a free turn here. We can go Castle Lochthwain on turn 3 here. We'll just Orcish Bowmasters once they get their Emissary out. Hopefully they don't have a second soul to play with it, but we will see. Sure. Did they draw something useful? Ooh, they didn't. Nice. Suppose I'll just Bowmasters them in the face. We can block a Burning Tree Emissary. It's all good. And we will... Ooh, it's either Gix or Graveyard Trespasser. I'll play Gix first. And we will say no attacks. Turn 3, the 1-rings are going to start coming out. Possibly it's a Clothis. We'll see. We have Beseech the Mirror next turn, which is great. And what do we want here? Let's see. So Leyline of the Void plays into Clothis a little bit. Shieldred, obviously a decent card. Karn, I suppose, would be a thing that could happen. Karn can deal with their 1-rings, I suppose. And maybe I just get a Karn. We'll go ahead and Karn minus, and what do we want to find? We can get our own 1-ring here. This will, you know, work good with a Shieldred when we eventually draw one. We could get Pithing Needle, but that does not stop at Clothis activation, so I think probably just the 1-ring is a good call. Swing in for 3. Pay life to draw a card. And we find a Phyrexian Obliterator. That's a good one. We'll take my Beseech, drain me for 2. That is going to be non-trivial here. We'll have to find a Shieldred quick, honestly. I assume they're playing 1-ring here. Oh, it's Utopia Sprawl. Oh, it's Utopia Sprawl plus 1-ring, sure. There's their 1-ring, that's fine. They have pro everything, they all attack in. I think I could let Karn go to 1. Thoughtseize almost feels good. I think I'll play the 1-ring myself. We'll gain protection, and we will make our 1-ring a creature, I guess. Doesn't really matter. Let's make it so that we can block effectively, and we'll play a Hive tapped. We get to attack for 4. Except it doesn't matter because we can't deal any damage to our opponent. Yikes. It's fine. Opponent will probably just drain us for 2 again. Our graveyard is empty, and we'll probably want to keep it that way as long as Clothis is on the battlefield. Phyrexian Obliterator is going to be a good card pretty soon. We'll take our Karn so they can now activate their 1-ring. That's okay. Alright, Liliana. Liliana can't kill anything. We are allowed to Thoughtseize something out of their hand, which I'll do now. See if they want a 1-ring. They do not. An Archimancer or backup 1-ring. What do we want to see from our opponent? This is kind of difficult. I mean, Goblin and Archimancer will help them cast what they get off 1-ring. Let's leave them with backup 1-ring. I think that I'll just play Phyrexian Obliterator here, and we'll go in with Gix. Gix is a fine trade for what they're doing. I'll probably draw this turn with my 1-ring now that I have played most of my hand. We will pay the life for this. I think it's worth it. Get backup Phyrexian Obliterator, which is great. And we get to deal a damage to our opponent and make another creature. That's good. Opponent will probably take our Karn, sure. We don't really care too much about our graveyard except for when Liliana is concerned. So Liliana, probably not a great card to have here. It's okay. They drew 2 cards there, right? So I'll probably just take out their Burning Tree Emissary. We have a big Orc army now. They'll need to play a creature if they want to deal with Phyrexian Obliterator, otherwise it's backup 1 ring for them. They go for backup 1 ring, that's fine. Moves to us. We'll draw here with R1 ring, excuse me. And it's the end. So that can actually kill a Clothis once it becomes animated. We'll keep an eye on that. Yet another land. Nykthos makes us a crap load of mana, which is great. We'll activate our 1 ring here, looking for something to do. Double Knight, that's not great. I think I probably just, well, while they have protection, it doesn't really matter what I do. We will play so 7, 8, 9, 10 mana. 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I mean, we can play most of our hand here. Phyrexian Obliterator. There you go, Trespasser. And Eben. I mean, this is a darn good hand right here. We will exile a creature from the graveyard, putting us to 10. Our opponent is going to have a hard time attacking in now, but they do eventually have a Clothis kill. But that's assuming they're not just dead in the next couple of turns to my attacks. No bother attacking here because of the 1. Alright, we get to go in for a damage on them. We go to 8, they go to 17. Our graveyard's dead. Let's see what our opponent can do. Alright, they cannot beat our draw and our mana advantage. Nykthos is absolutely broken when it gets going, and we saw what that can mean here. Alright, so that was our mono black Beseech the Mirror deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was definitely a fun one to play. Beseech the Mirror, I think, is going to be a really, really strong card here in a lot of decks, and you'll see it from me here in another couple of videos. I'm already brainstorming a Yorion Beseech Enchantress deck, which should be pretty fun. It's going to run a lot of the same style of gameplay here, where Beseech is going to represent multiple copies of other situational cards that are very strong, but not necessarily a thing that we want to be drawing 4 of over the course of a game. So do look out for that content coming from me here in the near future. If you want to stay up to date on that stuff, you can drop a subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And if you want to just generally support what's happening on this channel, you can like the video or comment on it. Let me know if you tried the deck. Let me know what you're thinking of this format in general and what your favorite cards are out of the Wilds of Eldraine set. With that being said, that is all from me, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out and have a good one. I'll see you around.